Members, once again, you are welcome to today's lecture, Administrative Run Process by Nisima Dan. Today's lecture is the first one in this question that is for BPAM 2, as I've already said. Let us go to the overview and then we look at the course outline, then assessment mode, reference timetable, and then conclusion. Let us go to the course outline containing all the topics that will be covered throughout the entire semester. We shall look at the first topic called Introduction to Law and Administrative Processes. And here we shall define law and also go ahead and define administrative processes. Since the question is administrative run processes. Then we shall look at another topic called judicial review. And under judicial review, we shall be looking at definition of judicial review. We shall look at remedies or court orders or writs granted as a result of the judicial review, which I will explain and you understand what they mean. And we shall also look at grounds for judicial review. Yeah, this question has its own unique language. Once in a while, we shall be meeting some Latin words, like in this topic of judicial review. Then we shall look at another topic called natural justice definition. Then we shall look at principles of natural justice. We shall look at when natural justice can be disregarded by courts of law. I'm just giving you a summary. We shall look at all the topics and I explain them for it. We shall look at delegated legislation, why it is important, and then the disadvantages of delegated legislation. We shall also look at court system in Uganda as another topic. And the court system here, we shall pay attention to the structure, structure, quorum composition, and especially jurisdiction of the court system in Uganda, or the courts as they are arranged from the top to the bottom. In that order, and each court we shall look at its structure, its composition, how many judges must sit for it to make a binding ruling, and also the jurisdiction, the powers of each court. Then we shall also look at administrative tribunals definition. We compare administrative tribunals with the courts of law. We look at their merits and demerits. And we look at the tribunals the remedies that can be granted by the administrative tribunals. We shall also look at license. And I hope this topic won't disturb you. Most of them you are working with local governments. We shall look at what is a license. Why does government issue out licenses and the licensing power of authorities? Then we shall look at citizenship, definition of a citizenship. We shall look at different types of citizenship, and then we shall conclude our semester. Now, for the assessment, I will give tests and coursework both online, tests out of 20, coursework out of 20. And the examination is still pending till reopening of institutions. While the final examination, if I told the universities will open, will be marked out of 60. Then I will make sure that I look for the way of giving you a reference and majorly those students who are very near will get hard copies of the handouts, while those ones who are far, I will make sure that I avail them with the soft copies. And as far as the timetable is concerned, I'll be studying via Zoom app, and our lecture will always begin, it will always be there on Friday from 3:50 p.m. So it is not Monday, it is Thursday. Recordings of the lectures, I will always record the lecture and share it via the model, and I will actually forward my recorded lectures to our WhatsApp groups. Otherwise, let us go back the introduction part of administrative law and practice. Administrative law and process, not practice. What is law? Let us define law. Members, you will agree with me that this question is very important because everyone, in fact, not all of us in one way or another, we cannot exist without laws. Law is part of society. It is part of everyone's life. There is no society which exists without laws. In the past, where there were no written laws, society had its own known laws that governed the various communities. And this is what was and is still known as customary law. Meaning, even in the past, laws existed. So law is part of everyone's life, and therefore, it is of great necessity for all people to have knowledge about the law. It is after having knowledge about the law that you will be able to know your rights, to know your obligations, duties, to know where to go and what to do in case your rights have been violated. Therefore, what is law? Law can be referred to as binding rules and regulations made by a recognized authority to regulate people's relationship in a given society or community. Let me repeat the definition. Law can be referred to as binding rules and regulations made by a recognized authority to regulate people's relationship in a given society or community. What does this definition mean? This definition means that since we are saying that it is binding rules, it means that once these rules and regulations have been enacted, it becomes mandatory or compulsory for all people in that given community to abide by them. And we are saying they are binding rules made by a recognized authority. A recognized authority in the sense that it is not anybody to make laws. These laws are made by recognized authorities. For instance, in Uganda, the recognized authority mandated to make laws on behalf of Ugandans is Parliament. Parliament makes laws on behalf of us, and the laws made by Parliament are called Acts of Parliament. And Parliament is mandated to make laws under Article 79, Section 1. So Parliament in Uganda is the sole legislator. Having known the definition of law, let us proceed and we look at are laws important? Functions of law, functions or purpose of law. Do we need these laws? And I've started my lecture by saying that law is part of society, part and parcel of society, and that there is no society which exists without law. That even in the past, where there were no written laws or statutes, people had customs. Laws existed, which have called customary law. Now, let us look at the specific functions of law. Number one, law helps to reinforce social values in society. Every society has values, but to enforce these values, you need law. Which values am I talking about? Now, like, it is because of law that, and especially in Uganda, we have the Penal Code Act, which outlaws incest, bestiality, homosexuality, incest, sexual relationship amongst relatives, bestiality, sexual relationship between human beings and animals, homosexuality, sexual relationship between a man and a man, lesbianism, sexual relationship between a man and a woman. It's because of the laws that such practices are outlawed by the Penal Code. Penal Code contains all the offenses and the respective penalties. Therefore, Penal Code Act outlaws those practices in order for our societies to have morals. That's why I'm saying law reinforces social values and morals. Number two, another function, law suppresses deviant behavior. Most forms of socially unacceptable behavior, undesirable conducts are criminalized. Which are the deviant behaviors? They include theft, murder, robbery, incest, defilement, all the behaviors contrary to the society's expectations are called deviant behaviors. And the law suppresses deviant behavior so that the society can be able to actually, the society can be able to become a clear society where there are no deviance and people live peacefully with each other. Another function of law. Law guarantees civil rights and liberties. According to the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, Chapter 4, it talks about the protection of human rights, and it is the law which helps in the protection of human rights so that Ugandans can enjoy their rights, like freedom of movement, like right on property, like right to life. Another function of law is that it helps to protect property rights. Property right. The Penal Code Act, which I already mentioned, outlaws robbery, theft, and burglary, so that people can be able to own their property. And the property of the individual is also emphasized by the registration of Titles Act and the Land Act of 1998. An act with capital A, that is a law passed by Parliament. So these are some of the examples of the acts that help in the protection of people's property rights. So law helps protect property rights. Next function, law also helps protect the environment. According to the National Environmental Act, it prohibits people from encroaching on protected lands. It also helps, it prohibits people from encroaching on protected lands, wetlands, for instance, cutting down forests, such that there is no environmental degradation, and actually this helps the future generations, so that the future generations does not suffer due to the actions of the present generation. Another function of law. Law is a tool of fiscal policy, fiscal FIS, fiscal policy, and is used to regulate the economy. And this is done by laws on taxation, so that people can be able to pay taxes and enjoy their services. Another function of law is that law is intended to ensure public health. For instance, the Public Health Act, which ensures that for instance, to open a drug shop, you should be having a license, and it prevents quack people from involving in selling drugs, so that people can enjoy their good health. Another function of law is that law helps to inform people where to go and what to do when their rights are being violated. Also, law helps to maintain peace and security in the country.